All right. The last man standing match for one of the world championships is up next. And I watched all the packages so that they could explain the stories and everything. And, of course, we had seen the segment several weeks ago between, with Heyman and Pierce and Reigns, where they had signed the match for the Royal Rumble with Reigns against Pierce. And I said, I'll watch that. And I bet they could do something with it, right? And, of course, they switched it all around, but blah, blah, blah. But the package, they did a great job visually with the package and the editing, but the line of this thing still didn't make a lot of sense, did it? It was just all over the fucking place. And I mean, I loved Heyman doing a slip and fall on SmackDown after Pierce had outsmarted them by claiming an old injury and then substituting Kevin Owens, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, I'm pissed that they had Reigns and Pierce on free TV. I'd have rather seen that here on the pay-per-view than what they gave us here. And I'm sorry I missed that. But anyway, so last man standing, Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns. This is where the visual of Kevin Owens stands out the worst. He can work. He can talk. He honestly looked a couple of years ago a little bit better than he does now. I don't know if he's gaining his weight back. He's French Canadian to the bone and has never tried to tan those fucking pale fish meat arms. But I can buy Steen, especially when he was 10 years younger in Ring of Honor as a kind of a fucking evil, psychopathic, lunatic gimmick, or something about him is off mentally that makes him dangerous. But here he's presented as just a fat, pale babyface. And next to a fucking specimen like Reigns, the visual was just blah. And he's not even a fucking, Dusty Rhodes type everyman baby face. Sure, I don't have the muscles, but I'll fight you, baby. He's just a fucking fishy, white, pale, flabby baby face. What do you see there with this visual before we even talk about the match?
I mean, I can kind of lose myself and just think that he's a tough wrestler having a competitive match against this guy why did they have him covered up for so long? Roman Reigns is in fantastic shape. Yeah. But it didn't bother me so much. It didn't bother me so much. He's the everyman. He's the everyman. He's Tank Abbott looked like shit. And
there you go. That's the comparison that I was trying to make in Ring of Honor 10 years ago when Steen was the Ring of Honor champion. Well, look at the Tank Abbott. He's a freak of nature. He's like that, to try to explain it to where people wouldn't just go that were watching us for the first time. What the fuck? Anyway, okay, but the point is Steen can work, and we've established Reigns can work, so I'm thinking, all right, here we go. Within 2 minutes of this match, they are out in the arena and bashing each other over the head with the metal stairs and just bouncing off the fan screens. And this was the worst part about it. It's every indie match that anybody ever has now with a bigger building and a bigger budget. And just because there's no people in the building, now we don't have to worry about getting a lawsuit. We don't have to worry about hurting anybody getting sued. We can just do all this goofy shit. I don't know why they set the ring up. They did a 30-minute long angle for a rematch in the ring. If I'd have seen 2 minutes of them bashing each other over the head with chairs in the fucking arena, I'd say, wow, can't wait till they sign that match. But after they'd fought, quote unquote, and climbed over row after row of fan screens at a snail's pace and hit dozens of chair shots and run each other head first into shit over and over and they're better. Both of them are better than this. They can both work. Why are they doing the same shit that every outlaw indie fucking show does? To be violent. And then finally, Reigns throws Owens off the bleachers through a fucking table. Heck of a bump. It wasn't a crash pad. Steen's got way too much pride to bump on a crash pad. He'd rather come off the bleachers into the fucking concrete. But the fake fans went absolutely berserk, and it wasn't the finish. Owens gets up, meanders through the backstage area into the unused part of this giant facility, and of course there was a workout ring in the back of the arena. A workout ring? I guess they need it, but that's a new one on me.
Well, there were, I think, 2 different rings back there, but they actually called them workout rings.
That's what, yes.
Phrasing
the phrasing was, that's because I've never heard of such a thing at a building. We never set up extra rings for people to fucking practice in at TV tapings and pay-per-views. I've never heard of such a thing. But these guys need it. Anyway, not these specific 2, but you know what I'm... Anyway, I wrote, of course that's a thing, a workout ring. And then suddenly, as Steen's about to get up, I guess they just had to say fuck you to AEW, and Reigns ran Steen over the right way with a golf cart.
Yeah, that looked good, especially compared to the Sammy Guevara thing. That looked great.
Yes, it was like a fucking kid playing around in the playground next to he ran him the fuck over, and his body went through the goddamn plexiglass windshield and smacked Reigns right in the face for real. That wasn't the finish. It looked great. If I was going to get beat in a last man standing match, I'd say, yeah, if I can do that without getting killed, I'll take that. No, then moments later, Owens gets up after being run over by this golf cart going 25 miles an hour, went all the way through the window. He makes a wild-ass comeback, puts Reigns on a table, climbs up on a thing, and frog splashes him through the table. And that's not the finish. And then he's going to climb up again, and then Owens sees a forklift and gets on the forklift and starts it up. And that's where I said, I'm fucking done. I'm going to see how much longer this goes. I hit the fast forward, and I was intending to find the finish. After being run over by a golf cart, after being splashed through a fucking tape, these guys went another 6 minutes. I'm sure you can film it. What did they do after the golf cart until the famous handcuffing incident? Who was anyone shot with an elephant gun? Possibly a hand grenade pin was pulled and shoved up a guy's ass and his intestines were blown around the area? Was there a drone plane that was programmed to crash on both guys for a 2 count?
No, I think they brawled back to the main arena part of the Thunderdome. There may have been, I'm trying to think back, I mean, so much happened. One of them may have been thrown off the performance ramp or whatever the hell it is.
Performance ramp?
And then they went towards the finish that you apparently saw.
Oh, yeah, well, I didn't realize that's what they were going for, so I had to back it up. But I watched the finish.
And let me just say real quick, because I was trying to think of examples and I couldn't remember everything. But I'm kind of sick of handcuffs in wrestling. We've seen it a few times recently. Just saw it with Luchasaurus got handcuffed.
Yes. Well, you see everything because they do everything that anybody ever did every week. And that's what... these guys could have had a fucking match. They could have, but they chose not to. So that's why it's just impossible to watch. It's the same shit over and over. Anyway, this wasn't the same. Apparently, my old friend Happy Heyman, the Jovial Jew, has not had very much experience with handcuffs, either wearing them or taking them off of other people. I've worn a few, and I've taken them off of other people a lot more. And I saw exactly what they fucked up. So somehow Reigns had gotten the handcuffs, but Owens got him away from him, and he got on top of him with using them as brass knuckles and just punched Roman Reigns about 100 times in the fucking head, no juice, no blood, and then handcuffed Roman Reigns to the lighting grid with the theory being that he was laying down on his fucking back and he was handcuffed to the bottom of the thing so he couldn't stand up to his feet. And the referee starts counting, and at 9, Reigns reaches up, grabs the referee, and hurls him into the fucking structure, knocking the referee out, right? And then, of course, Owens sees this and goes over there, but Reigns, while handcuffed with his free arm, nut shots Owens, which would have been great if the fucking DJ hadn't just done the same exact spot to fucking Ron Killings just minutes before. But anyway, so now Owens is down and the referee's down and Reigns is handcuffed. Do you know how long it took Paul to show up with the key to the handcuffs?
He got there pretty quickly. It was
35 seconds from when Owens went off his feet to when Heyman knelt down with a handcuff key.
And then how long?
35 seconds. He didn't have to fight his way through the crowd. Where was he?
How long did it take him to get those handcuffs off?
I'm going to get to this. So first of all, and I already had tweets about, I don't know, we've got a lot of new listeners, but a lot of people have told this story. Because some people are going to be, well, how did Heyman have the key to the handcuffs? Not only are handcuff keys standard, because that way police, if you've got one cop's handcuffs on a suspect, the other cop can let him go or do whatever. That's why handcuff keys are standard. And I still to this day, and have for the past 30-something years, on my key ring with my house keys and my car keys, have a handcuff key, because you never know about these things. So it is entirely plausible that the manager would have keys to handcuffs. However, what they did was, first of all, the cuff is around Reigns' wrist, and they're not handcuffs. They're actually, it's leg shackles, because handcuffs only have a link or two in between the cuffs. And this was a long chain. That's a leg shackle, because that's the chain, that they have chains. You can't obviously walk with your fucking feet that close together. And so that's what you use in wrestling for handcuffs, because the chain's easier to work with. Well, Steen has cuffed the other cuff onto the bottom of the lighting grid so that Reigns can't stand up and get to his feet. We understand that. But they didn't, apparently, if they did go over this ahead of time, they didn't think of all these things. It's hard to unhandcuff someone else when you've got the key and you're trying to do it, when the fucking keyhole is on the opposite side of the cuff from where you're reaching. So Paul gets down, and first he tries to take the one off the girder, which I don't know why he did or why he didn't, except maybe that was the one that was backwards also. Then he goes over to fucking Roman Reigns' side. Then he's going back and forth. They can't find the fucking key or the keyhole, or they can't get whatever the fuck. I don't know if he's locked it down. What's going on? 1 minute and 10 seconds, Brian, was the answer to your question of how long it took Paul Heyman to figure out how to either get the handcuffs off Roman Reigns or the handcuffs off the goddamn lighting grid.
And how long did it take the second referee to realize that he better stop counting right away?
To the count of 5. The second referee gets there, starts counting, gets to 5, and then looks like somebody off camera is waving him, fuck it, and he looks like the thing like you walk in on somebody else's fucking Skype call or whatever, and the camera zooms in to get him out of the picture, and he stops counting, and you never see him again. And then they vamped, as my old friend Bill Behrens used to say, they vamped by Reigns got up to both feet, squatted down so they could say he was on his feet. But now here's the thing. Once that they finally got him out of the fucking cuffs, Kevin Owens had been selling that ball shot for 2 full minutes, waiting for Roman Reigns to get unhooked, and then Reigns just grabs him and chokes him out. So, and no disqualification, those 2 words are now to be used hereinafter by the cult of Cornette as code for shitty booking. Every time that somebody does something right in front of the referee or completely out of the bounds of reason in any given fucking situation, no disqualification. No, lazy, shitty booking. And I don't know how that they couldn't have figured out how to just goddamn handcuff poor old Roman Reigns' wrist. Get the cuffs on him with the fucking keyhole facing toward his fucking fingers, not back toward his elbow. And take the leg iron and wrap it around one piece of the grid and hook it to the other one on the front instead of in the back where Owens hooked it. So that then all fucking Heyman had to do, and he wouldn't have had enough slack to stand up, which he ended up having anyway. All Heyman would have had to do would either be get the fucking thing off of Reigns' the cuff off of Reigns' wrist, or the stationary object, lock it to the fucking front of the grid and put the keyhole up. Because you can turn it any way you want. I've been around for all the things that can be go wrong with handcuffs. And some of them were even involved in wrestling. And, you know, this was just brutal. My fucking God. So I just, it was just a garbage wrestling match instead of a wrestling match. It was just a stunt show and then with a botched finish. And both these guys are better than that, but they've got to be able to fucking, you got to give them something to do or let them do what they'd want to do instead of, well, this is probably what Steen wanted to do. That's the thing. Steen's never gotten out of the fucking indies mentally. So he likes matches like this. But protect Roman Reigns because he's a fucking star. He's above this kind of shit. Forklifts. Fuck. What'd you think?
I wasn't a big fan of the match early on, but for some reason I kind of got into it once they went in the back. Once I started to see the layout behind the curtain with the practice ring or whatever they called it. And then there was another ring, I think, in the distance. I started getting into it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to just lose myself and enjoy it. And then once the handcuff botch happened.
Why didn't they go in the rings? Did they ever go in the rings?
No, they should have.
Well, we saw the rings, but they never went out because, well, they want to stay away from the ring. They might be expected to have a match.
The other thing is, I'm kind of sick of Roman Reigns talking during his matches. At one point towards the end, all of a sudden you hear him, he's like, I can't go home if I don't win. I'm like, shut up. Just fucking wrestle. Enough of the monologues, Roman. But I liked it better than you did, except for, I mean, there's no disguising that finish. It was just a disaster. Once the second referee disappeared, you know?
he looked like his mother had walked in and caught him with dick in hand jacking off to Pornhub. That was the look on his face. I'm sorry, Mom. Oh, my God.
Well, you know, I'm going to guess.
Yeah, I'm just, one more thing. Also, Paul, please, if you're going to be working with handcuffs, think ahead. Practice at home. That's how I got good with them. Go ahead.
What I was going to say is I'm going to guess coming out of this match, both wrestlers were pretty sore.
Oh, I would have to think they had just the shit kicked out of both of them. I would think that they are probably sore from the tips of their toes to the tops of their heads. And you know what they need? More than ever now. The Omax Cryo Freeze. Folks, if you've just been hit with a golf cart and run over by a forklift and you're sitting at home suffering from all of that, or if you've just got arthritis, backaches, muscle soreness, joint pain, and you want a drug-free solution, you owe it to yourself to try the product that we've been talking about, screaming about even for so long. What's causing all this? It's the Omax Cryo Freeze CBD Pain Relief Roll-On. An all-natural topical pain reliever that ices out the pain with a 1-2 punch. Boom, boom. Of super cold menthol and hemp CBD. It's just like a roll-on deodorant. You just roll it right on, whatever hurts, whatever's stiff and swollen, whatever. It reduces inflammation. Well, maybe not everything. Reduces inflammation, improves muscle and joint flexibility. And we've said from not only our personal use, but also folks in the family that have had transplants and implants and have had as many surgeries as poor old Mr. Ron Wright. They love it too. And right now, Omax is offering all of you folks 20% off a 1-month supply of Omax Cryo Freeze or any product site-wide. If you go to omaxhealth.com, that's OMAX, omaxhealth.com and enter the code DRIVE, that's DRIVE, then you can get 20% off the cryo-freeze or anything on the site. Brian, you love it. I love it. It's not that messy, sticky cream. It doesn't stink you out. It's got a nice menthol. It opens up your sinuses, ices out the pain, heats up where it hurts, and it's 20% cheaper because you listen to us.
Yeah, I like the smell. I really like it.
Well, you like anything.
Or maybe I should say the scent.
The scent. Yeah. You shouldn't say that. Shouldn't say it like that. I like the smell. It's a scent. This is not a smell. The Royal Rumble smells. This is a scent. omaxhealth.com. Enter the code DRIVE, 20% off. Rub this on your eyeballs after you watch WWE programming. I'm pretty sure one way or another, you'll never see any more WWE programming.
Do not apply Omax to your eyeballs.
Do not apply to your eyeballs.
Ladies and gentlemen.
It's not a good idea. Well, only if you don't want to see anything else. But it's good everywhere else.
That's right.